Representative Bachmann, do you think the 30,000 surge troops in Afghanistan have made a difference, and if so, where?
They absolutely have, but it's unfortunate. The request was made for 40,000 troops. President Obama dithered for approximately 2 months when he should have given the full complement of 40,000 troops. When he gave 30,000 troops to the effort in Afghanistan, that meant that a decision had to be made. With 40,000 troops, they could have conducted the war going into the southern province in Helmand and also going into the eastern province and dealing with the problem all at once and coming to victory that much sooner and bringing our troops home. When 30,000 troops were given, then our troops did the very best that they could by going into the south and dealing in the Helmand province. We actually have seen improvement down by Kandahar. That's a very good thing, and that's because of the brave actions by our men and women in that area. However, we have to recognize now President Obama has made a very fatal decision in Afghanistan. He's made the decision that by next September, our troops will be withdrawn. If that is the case, how do we expect any of our allies to continue to work with us? How can we even begin to seek the peace with the Haqqani network that are in the eastern region?
Thank you, Congressman Bachmann. Thank you very much.
Congresswoman Bachmann, you serve on the Intelligence Committee. I'd like to get your assessment of what you think is happening in Pakistan, especially with the Haqqani network. And you know from sitting on that committee that those in the diplomatic corps in this country and even the intelligence community believe that there is a tangible benefit at times to properly applied foreign aid from this country. So I want to know if you agree with the governor on that question starting at 0, and also your assessment of the intelligence situation in Pakistan and what we should do about it.
Pakistan is a very difficult area because they have been housing terrorists, and terrorists have been training there, Al-Qaeda as well as Haqqani, as well as other militias dealing with terrorist organizations. But I would not agree with that assessment to pull all foreign aid from Pakistan. I would reduce foreign aid to many, many countries, but there's a problem because Pakistan has a nuclear weapon. We have more people affiliated with Al-Qaeda closer to that nuclear bomb than in any other nation. This is an extremely important issue, and I think it underscores exactly why the next commander-in-chief has to understand from day one the intricacies that are happening in the Middle East. This is a very dangerous time. If you look at Iran and if you look at Pakistan and if you look at the link with Syria, because Iran is working through proxies like Syria, through Hezbollah, through Hamas, it seems that the table is being set for a worldwide nuclear war against Israel. And if there's anything that we know, President Obama has been more than willing to stand with Occupy Wall Street, but he hasn't been willing to stand with Israel. Israel looks at President Obama and they do not see a friend.
Congresswoman, thank you. Stephen writes, I served on an aircraft carrier during the Vietnam War. I believe that torture is always wrong in all cases. What is your stance on torture? Congresswoman Bachmann, your opinion on this question that our emailer asked.
If I were president, I would be willing to use waterboarding. I think it was very effective. It gained information for our country. And I also would like to say that today, under Barack Obama, he is allowing the ACLU to run the CIA. You need to understand that today when we interdict a terrorist on the battlefield, we have no jail for them. We have nowhere to take them. We have no CIA interrogation anymore. It is as though we have decided we want to lose in the war on terror under President Obama. That's not my strategy. My strategy will be that the United States will be victorious in the war on terror.
Congresswoman Bachmann, he writes in, as this debate was going on, quote, almost half of the federal budget goes to military-related expenditures. Should we increase spending, especially in a debt crisis?
Well, the military is also able to have expenditures reduced as well, and I think probably the best place is in the area of how we finance procurement. Today we have a situation where we reward those who are designing and making our weaponry based upon the length of time that they take it to produce it. We don't do that anywhere else. So rather than having a cost plus fee, we need to have a fixed cost system. We'll save money, and also TRICARE could use reform as well. Those are two areas where we yield significant savings. But what we cannot do is cut back on the effort regarding our troops and making sure they're fully resourced.
A quick follow-up, Congresswoman. Can you name a weapon system that you think should be ended for fiscal reasons? And when you talk about TRICARE, that's the military medical system, what do you mean when you say reform? Does that mean cuts in benefits?
No, I think that we need to have modernization. That's what the biggest problem is right now with Social Security, with Medicare, with Medicaid. We're continuing to abide by the models that we had when they were first originated. There's very few businesses that maintain their similar business practices 45 years after inception or 75 years after inception. We have to modernize. But we also know what the future is in healthcare, don't we? It is Obamacare. And quite likely, TRICARE, Medicare, all of these will collapse under President Obama, and everyone will be put into Obamacare. No one wants to be in Obamacare.
And
that's why, as Commander-in-Chief,
Congresswoman.
I'll repeal Obamacare.
Thank you very much.
Within days of taking office, President Obama, by executive order, stopped the CIA from using classified enhanced interrogation techniques that are not waterboarding. There's a presumption that every person at Gitmo under the Obama administration should go into civilian court, not military commission. And the Obama administration recently said that any future captors in the war on terror would not go to Gitmo. Would you continue these policies? If you would change them, why?
Representative Bachmann, let me give you 30 seconds to pick up on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to respond to Ron Paul and his comments, because the people that the President of the United States gave orders to kill include Osama bin Laden. Now, I think all of us can agree this was a good idea for the President of the United States to make this decision. Ron Paul doesn't think so. But this was a very good idea for the President. After all, Osama bin Laden had no problem ordering the destruction of the Twin Towers or of the Pentagon. That resulted in over 3,000 lives. As well, Alaki, who we also killed, he has been the chief recruiter of terrorists, including Major Hassan at Fort Hood, including the underwear bomber over Detroit, and including the Times Square bomber. These were very good decisions that were made to take them
Congressman,
out.
thank you. I know Ron.
Federal spending and debt are not only our greatest economic problems, they're our largest national security problem. Yet the President and the Congress continue to spend and borrow at record levels. Just adjusting the spending on existing federal programs will not solve the problem. What federal functions will you eliminate or return to the states in order to balance our budget?
I want to thank you for asking that question, because that really is the #1 issue that's facing the country. We are in a terrible debt spiral, so much so that just in the month of October, we just added another $203 billion in debt. And when you consider the last time that Republicans controlled the budget, it was 2007, and the debt was $160 billion for the year. This was $203 billion just for the month of October. For every man, woman, and child in the United States, that means each one of us just took on another $650 in debt just for the month of October. That's the velocity that we're growing with debt. So what would I cut? I think really what I would want to do is be able to go back and take a look at Lyndon Baines Johnson's The Great Society. The Great Society has not worked, and it's put us into the modern welfare state. If you look at China, they don't have food stamps. If you look at China, they're in a very different situation. They save for their own retirement security. They don't have AFDC. They don't have the modern welfare state, and China's growing. And so what I would do is look at the programs that LBJ gave us at the Great Society, and they'd be gone.
Thank you, Congresswoman.